Hey everyone, welcome back to Mr. English Podcast.
I'm Anna, and I'm so happy you're here today.
And I'm Mikkel. Get ready because today's episode is a little bit different. It's not just a lesson, it's a story.
Yes, a story that will help you understand why so many people can read and listen in English, but still can't speak it confidently.
If you've ever said, I understand English, but I can't speak, then this episode is totally for you.
Exactly, because today we're going to learn English through a story. A real, funny, heartwarming story about a family dinner, some mashed potatoes, and one very nervous English learner.
That's right. You'll listen, learn new expressions, and practice shadowing. That means repeating slowly after us to train your speaking and listening skills.
So just relax, sit back, maybe grab a cup of tea or coffee, and let's enjoy learning English the natural way, through storytelling.
Okay, ready? Here we go.
I remember that evening so clearly. The smell of roasted chicken, the sound of clinking plates, and my aunt shouting from the kitchen, "Dinner's ready!" It was one of those family dinners where everyone talks at the same time, laughs too loud, and somehow still manages to understand each other. Except for one person, my cousin Leo. He had been studying English for years. Grammar, vocabulary, reading, you name it. But every time someone asked him a question in English, he froze completely, like a deer caught in the headlights. That night, I decided, enough is enough. It's time for Leo to finally speak.
Leo sat across from me, poking his mashed potatoes like they had personally offended him. I smiled and said, "So, Leo, tell me, how's your English practice going?" He looked up, panicked. Practice is, not good. I can't speak." Everyone at the table stopped talking. Even the mashed potatoes were silent. I laughed softly and said, "Don't worry, man. You just spoke English perfectly fine right now." He blinked. "I did?" I nodded. "Yes, you said I can't speak. That's English." Everyone burst out laughing, and even Leo smiled a little.
Everyone was still laughing when my aunt came over with a plate of salad. She said, "What's so funny?" And Michael, trying to hold back his laugh, said, "Leo just spoke perfect English by saying he can't speak English." My aunt smiled and said, "See, baby, you already know English. You just don't trust your mouth." Leo groaned, "It's not my mouth. It's my brain. My brain forgets everything when I try to talk." I smiled and said, "Aha, that's the problem. Not your English, but your fear." He looked confused. "Fear?" "Yes," I said, "you don't need more grammar books. You need more courage."
Leo frowned. "Courage doesn't teach vocabulary," he said. I grinned. "No, but vocabulary means nothing if you don't use it." I looked around the table. Let's make dinner interesting. We're going to practice English right now. Leo's eyes widened. "Here? In front of everyone?" "Of course," I said. "This is your family. We can laugh together, not at you."
My aunt clapped her hands. "I like this. English dinner. I'll be the waitress." She ran to the kitchen and came back with a towel over her arm, pretending to be a fancy hotel waitress. "Good evening, sir," she said in her dramatic movie voice. "Welcome to the English Family Restaurant. May I take your order?" Leo froze again. I want food?" The whole table burst out laughing, including Leo himself this time.
I leaned over and said softly, "That's okay, Leo. You're doing great. But let's make it better. You can say, 'I'd like some chicken, please.'" He repeated slowly, "I'd like some chicken, please." "Perfect," I said. "Now say it again, but with confidence." "I'd like some chicken, please." Everyone clapped, My aunt even bowed like a real waitress.
That's the magic of learning English. When you connect it to something real, something emotional, it becomes fun and easy to remember. I turned to my uncle. "You're next. You be the customer now." My uncle, who speaks English with the confidence of a man who doesn't know what he's saying, said proudly, "I want the chickens with the legs, not the head." The table exploded with laughter. "Close enough," I said, laughing so hard my cheeks hurt. "You can say, 'I'd like chicken legs, please.'"
Leo leaned forward, giggling. "Uncle, you say chicken with legs, not head. Head is scary." My uncle nodded, serious. "Yes, chickens with no head are running fast." Everyone laughed again, and for the first time, Leo wasn't nervous. He was talking, joking, using English without thinking too much. That's when I realized something powerful. You learn best when you forget you're learning.
Exactly. The moment Leo stopped worrying about grammar and started having fun, his English came alive. He started saying things like, "I want to order dessert," and "Please bring me juice." Were there mistakes? Of course. But the sentences were real, emotional, full of life, not something from a textbook. I told him, "Leo, you don't need to know English perfectly. You just need to use it bravely." He smiled and said softly, "Bravely? Like a hero?" "Yes," I said, laughing. "You're the English-speaking hero of the dinner table tonight."
My aunt clapped again. Okay, everyone speak English now." And suddenly, the whole table turned into a language classroom, but not the boring kind. My grandmother said, "I am old, but I love English." My cousin said, "I am chicken lover." And my uncle said, "I am master of salad." We all laughed so hard, but you know what? That dinner turned into one of the best English lessons ever.
And that's when I understood something very important. You can't speak English not because you're bad at it, but because you're afraid to sound silly. But being silly is part of the process. Everyone at that dinner made mistakes, and yet everyone learned. I looked at Leo and said, "See? The more you speak, the better you get." He nodded and said softly, "Anna, maybe English is not scary anymore."
I raised my glass and said, "To English, the language that sounds impossible until you speak it with joy." Everyone raised their glasses and shouted, "Cheers!" And just like that, Leo had his first full English conversation. Not perfect, not fast, but real. And that's how English becomes part of you, one small, brave, funny moment at a time. The next morning, the house smelled like coffee, toast, and victory. Leo walked into the kitchen with the proudest face I'd ever seen. He sat down, straightened his back, and said in perfect English, or at least he tried, "Good morning, everyone. I am speak English very good today."
My aunt clapped instantly, like he just graduated from Harvard. "Oh, look at my boy," she said, wiping an imaginary tear. "He is international now."
My uncle shouted, "Where is my translator? My son speaks foreign."
Everyone laughed so hard, but Leo just smiled. He was practicing. And for once, he wasn't afraid.
After breakfast, Leo said something I didn't expect. He looked at me and said, "Uncle Miker, can we go to the hotel down the street? I want to speak English with real people." My fork stopped halfway to my mouth. "Wait, you want to… what?" Leo nodded. "Yes, real practice, not only with family." I smiled slowly. Well, look at that. The student is becoming the master.
So, of course, we went. The hotel was this fancy-looking place with shiny floors and a fountain in the lobby that made glug-glug sounds every few seconds, like it was cheering for him.
Leo stood in front of the reception desk, took a deep breath, and whispered, "Okay, I can do this. I can do this." I said softly, "Yes, you can. Just speak slowly." Nobody's judging. He nodded, adjusted his imaginary tie, and stepped forward like he was about to perform on stage. The receptionist looked up with a polite smile. "Good morning. How can I help you?" And Leo said, "Good morning. I want a big room with many happiness." The receptionist blinked, then smiled. "Oh, you mean you'd like a big, comfortable room?" "Yes," Leo said quickly. "Exactly. Big, comfortable room and maybe breakfast with no problem." I had to bite my lip not to laugh.
I jumped in and said, "He means breakfast included." The receptionist nodded. "Of course, sir. Would you like one bed or two?" Leo thought hard. Two. For me and my confidence. I lost it. I started laughing so hard, the poor receptionist looked confused. But you know what? Leo didn't care. He was speaking. He was brave. He was funny. And that's how learning happens. Not when you speak perfectly, but when you speak without fear.
After we left the hotel, Leo was glowing, like he just won an Olympic medal in talking to strangers in English. He said, "They understand me. I say strange things, but they understand." I said, "See? English is not about perfect grammar. It's about communication." He nodded seriously. "So, I can say wrong, but still right." I laughed. "Exactly. You can say something wrong and still be right enough to be understood."
When we got home, my aunt was waiting with a big grin. "So, did my baby speak?" Leo puffed his chest and said proudly, "Yes, I speak English in hotel. Many happiness." She hugged him like he climbed Mount Everest. "Oh, my genius." I said, "He did amazing. And next time, we'll maybe teach him how to say many happiness correctly."
Leo smirked. "No, I keep it. Many happiness is my style."
That night, we all sat together again and Leo looked more relaxed than ever. He said, "You know, I always thought people will laugh at my English, but now I think it's okay to laugh. Laughing helps me remember." I nodded. "Exactly, Leo. Laughter is the best teacher." He grinned. "Then my English teacher is my uncle." I laughed so hard, I almost dropped my coffee. That's the first time anyone said that with joy.
That's when I realized something powerful. People don't speak English because they're scared of being wrong. But wrong is the road to right. Every mistake is a teacher. Every funny sentence is a memory. So I looked at Leo and said, "Promise me something." He said, "What?" I said, "Promise me never stop speaking, even when you're scared, even when people laugh, because every time you speak, you win." He smiled and said softly, "Then I will speak every day."
And he did. At the supermarket, he spoke English with the cashier. At the bus stop, he practiced with tourists. Even when he played video games online, he'd say, "Hello, I am Leo from the dinner." And his English got better, not because he studied more, but because he stopped waiting to be perfect. He realized the secret. If you wait to be perfect, you'll never start. But if you start now, you'll get better every day.
So if you're listening to this and thinking, "I understand English, but I can't speak," remember Leo. Start small, laugh at your mistakes, order a coffee, say hello to someone in English, ask a question in English. And if you sound funny, that's okay. That means you're learning something new.
Exactly. Fluency isn't about sounding like a native speaker. It's about being brave enough to try. And like Leo, you'll realize that once you start speaking, English isn't something you study, it's something you live.
So maybe next time you're at a hotel, you can say with confidence, "Good morning. I'd like a big, comfortable room and maybe many happiness."
Perfect English, Leo style.
And that's how you learn English through laughter, courage, and real stories.
Exactly. Keep speaking, keep smiling, and don't be afraid of mistakes. They're your best teachers.
A week later, my family decided to throw a small party for my grandma's birthday. Nothing too fancy, just balloons, too much food, and my uncle wearing a suit 3 sizes too small. Of course, Leo was there, sitting quietly at the table, smiling shyly while everyone prepared speeches for Grandma. My aunt whispered, "Anna, maybe Leo can say something in English for Grandma. That would be cute." Leo's eyes widened like someone had just suggested skydiving without a parachute. "Me? English? Speech? No. I can't."
I leaned in and said, "Yes, you can. Remember the hotel? You survived that. You can survive your grandma too." He shook his head, whispering, "Hotel lady was polite. Grandma is dangerous." I laughed so hard my drink almost came out of my nose. "Come on, Leo, just one small speech. You don't need perfect grammar, you just need heart." He sighed deeply. "Okay, maybe small speech, like baby speech." I nodded. Perfect. The smaller, the better.
The music stopped. Everyone turned toward Leo. My uncle clapped loudly. "Now, our English champion will speak." Leo looked like he wanted to disappear into the cake. He stood up slowly, holding his cup of juice like a microphone. He cleared his throat, took a deep breath, and said, "Good evening, family. I want to say something from my heart." Everyone smiled. He continued, "Grandma, you are very delicious." The room went silent for 2 seconds and then exploded in laughter.
I laughed so hard I almost fell off my chair. "Leo, I think you mean you are wonderful, not delicious." Leo's face turned red and he started laughing too. "Oh, no. Grandma, I am sorry. You are not delicious." Grandma just grinned, waving her hand. "That's okay, baby. At my age, being called delicious is a compliment." Everyone laughed again, even Leo. And you know what? He didn't stop his speech.
He continued, smiling now. "Grandma, you are the best cooker in the world. You make my stomach happy, and you teach me to be kind, patient, and strong." A few ahs filled the room. "And," he said proudly, "thank you for giving me courage to speak English, even if my English is sometimes very funny." The whole room clapped. Some even teared up.
When he finished, Grandma stood up slowly and hugged him tight. "My boy," she said, "I don't understand all your English, but I understand your heart." Leo smiled through his tears. "That's the most important part, right?" I nodded, smiling. "Exactly. Communication is not about being perfect, it's about being understood." Grandma kissed his cheek and said, "Then your English is perfect for me."
After that, Leo couldn't stop smiling. He went around chatting with everyone in English and in laughter. He said things like, "This party is very emotional food," and "I feel many proud in my soul." And no one corrected him harshly. We just enjoyed his effort, his humor, his courage. He was no longer the shy boy who said, "I can't speak English." He was the storyteller of the night.
Later, when everyone was dancing, Leo came up to me and said quietly, "You know, Uncle, I think I understand now why I couldn't speak before." I asked him, "Why?" He said, "Because I wanted to speak perfectly, but perfection is like a ghost. Everyone talks about it, but no one can catch it." I laughed softly. "That's true, Leo. Even native speakers make mistakes. Perfection is not the goal. Connection is." He nodded. "So, if people laugh, it's okay?" "Of course. If they laugh, it means they're listening."
That moment hit me. We spend so much time worrying about speaking right that we forget to enjoy the conversation. Leo had learned something most adults never do, that English is not a test, it's a bridge. A bridge between you and the world, between your heart and someone else's. And sometimes that bridge is made with laughter.
Before the night ended, Leo stood up one more time and said loudly, Family, I want to say one more English. Everyone turned to him again, smiling. He cleared his throat dramatically and said, Life is like grandma's soup, hot, sometimes salty, but always full of love. The entire family burst into applause. Even Grandma was crying and laughing at the same time.
When we got home, Leo sat quietly for a while, still smiling. I asked, "What are you thinking?" He said, "I think I don't need to study English tonight. I already spoke it." I nodded. Exactly. The best practice is living in English, not memorizing it. He looked at me and said, "You know, I used to hate English, but now I think English is funny." I laughed. That's the secret, Leo. The moment you enjoy it, you start learning faster than ever.
And that's how one family dinner and one delicious speech turned fear into freedom. Leo didn't just learn English, he learned confidence, expression, and humor. Because the truth is, you can't speak English not because you don't know it, but because you don't use it. Once you start using it, even with mistakes, even with laughter, the words start using you. They start living inside your rhythm, your personality, your story.
So, if you're listening right now, remember Leo's words. Perfection is like a ghost. Don't chase it. Speak, laugh, learn. Because the more you speak, the more alive your English becomes.
Exactly. English isn't something you study, it's something you live, one story at a time.
And who knows? Maybe your next mistake will be the one that makes everyone smile. Just like Leo's, "Grandma, you are delicious."
That one's going in the family dictionary forever.
Absolutely. A few weeks later, something special happened. Leo came to visit us again, this time wearing sunglasses like a celebrity. He walked in, looked around, and said in his dramatic movie voice, "Hello, everyone! The English master has arrived." My aunt nearly dropped her tea. "English master? Since when?" Leo grinned. "Since Grandma said I'm delicious." We all burst out laughing. He had officially become the family comedian.
After lunch, Leo pulled me aside. He said, "Uncle, can I tell you something serious?" I raised an eyebrow. "Serious? That's new. Okay, tell me." He said, "My friend Ahmed joined an English class. He studies a lot, but he told me he's scared to speak, like I used to be." I nodded slowly. "So, what did you do?" Leo smiled proudly. I told him my story, about the dinner, about the hotel, about Grandma.
He continued, "I told him mistakes are funny teachers, and you don't have to sound perfect, just speak. I said, if I can speak English, you can too." I smiled so big my face hurt. "Leo, that's amazing. You're teaching now." He shrugged. "Maybe a little." I told him, "The secret is not grammar, it's bravery." I looked at Miguel. "That sounds like something you would say." Miguel nodded, pretending to be humble. "Well, I do inspire greatness."
A few days later, Leo sent me a video. In it, he and Ahmed were sitting in a small cafe practicing English together. Leo was saying slowly, "Good morning, my friend. How are you today?" Ahmed answered, "Good morning. I am nervous but happy." Leo laughed and said, "Perfect. Nervous and happy. That's English emotion." It was beautiful, real, honest. Two learners helping each other. No fear, no judgment, just growth.
That night, Leo sent me a message. He wrote, "Anna, today I helped someone speak English for the first time. He said thank you, and I cried." I think this is what learning really means. Not to be perfect, but to help others find their voice. I just sat there reading his message over and over again, smiling through tears. Because that's what it's all about. When you find your own voice, you give others permission to find theirs too.
The next weekend,
We met up at that same cafe. Ahmed was there too, quiet, polite, and nervous, like Leo used to be. I smiled and said, "So, Ahmed, how's your English practice?" He said softly, "I understand everything, but when I speak, my brain goes blank." Leo jumped in, excited. "Oh, I know that blank brain. It's my old friend." Everyone laughed, including Ahmed.
Then Leo said, "Let's practice now. You pretend to order coffee." Ahmed hesitated, then said, "Hello, I want coffee, please." Leo clapped instantly. "Perfect! That's how I started too." Ahmed blushed, "But it's too simple." Leo shook his head. "Simple is strong. If people understand you, you win. English is not about big words, it's about brave words." I swear, Miguel and I just sat there like proud parents.
Leo looked at him and said, "Repeat after me. Slowly. I'd like a cup of coffee, please." Ahmed repeated carefully, "I'd like a cup of coffee, please." Leo grinned. "See? You already sound like a Hollywood actor." Ahmed laughed. "No, more like background character number 3. Leo slapped the table. "That's still English." Everyone in the cafe turned to look at us and smiled. The laughter was contagious.
After that, we started meeting every week. Leo and Ahmed practiced small conversations at the cafe, at the grocery store, even in the park. Every time they spoke slowly, laughed often, and corrected each other gently. And guess what? Ahmed started to change too. He began to look people in the eye when he spoke. He smiled when he made mistakes. He even started helping another student who was shy.
That's the magic of speaking. Confidence spreads faster than grammar ever will. One brave speaker creates another. Leo told me later, "Uncle, I think speaking English is like lighting a candle. When you help someone, your light doesn't get smaller, it gets brighter." I just sat there thinking, wow, this kid, he gets it.
So if you're listening right now, wondering why you can't speak English, maybe it's not your grammar. Maybe it's not your vocabulary. Maybe it's just fear. And fear disappears when you laugh, when you practice, when you share your story, even if your sentences come out funny or broken. Because every time you speak, you build courage, not just language.
Exactly. And courage is the real fluency. Leo learned that, and now he's helping others learn it too. That's how you master English, not by memorizing, but by connecting, laughing, and living in the language.
So, next time you're afraid to speak English, remember Leo. Start small, make mistakes, laugh loudly, and never stop speaking. Because every word, even the wrong ones, take you closer to confidence.
And one day, you'll realize that the person who couldn't speak English is now teaching others how to do it.
Exactly. And when that day comes, don't forget to tell your story. Because stories, not rules, make language alive.
Beautifully said.
I thank you. I learned from the best, my delicious grandma's student.
And that's how we end today's story, with courage, laughter, and maybe a little bit of cake.
See you next time on Mr. English Podcast. Keep speaking, keep smiling, and remember, your voice matters.
And your English is already better than you think.
Bye for now, friends.
And that's it for today's episode of Mr. English Podcast.
We hope you laughed, learned, and practiced your English with us, because every word you speak makes you braver.
Exactly. Remember, your English doesn't need to be perfect, it just needs to be alive.
Alive. Like Leo's mini happiness.
Yes. And if this episode made you smile or helped you learn something new, don't forget to like this video. It really helps us reach more learners like you.
And make sure to subscribe to Mr. English Podcast for more slow English stories,
funny real conversations, and everyday speaking practice.
Tell us in the comments, what's one English mistake you made that made everyone laugh? We might talk about it in our next episode.
That's right. So until next time, keep speaking, keep smiling.
And keep learning with Mr. English Podcast.
See you soon.
Bye-bye, friends.